problems. That guy, he just has to touch you once.
Shit's going down.
He's so different than anybody else in the division. Like, he knocks everybody out. Everybody hits hard. They all hit hard.
But that fucking
dude hits hard.
Set that Jake Paul can come 15-20% in regards to Anthony Joshua. He's a completely different specimen. Look, you'll see what it looks like when they stand next to each other.
Joe Rogan has weighed in on Anthony Joshua's newly intensified training routine for the rumored Jake Paul matchup, and his reaction couldn't be clearer. After seeing leaked clips of Joshua firing off sharp combinations and drilling with top-tier trainers, Rogan described Joshua as outright frightening in his current form, that he suggested that Jake Paul may have finally stepped into territory he can't escape with hype or trash talk. With Joshua appearing more dialed in, quicker, and more aggressive than he has in a long time, Rogan predicted that if this fight happens, it could turn ugly for Jake and end very quickly.
Need to get stronger.
The matchup between Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua is set to be a fully sanctioned professional heavyweight contest under standard Marquis of Queensberry rules. The fight is scheduled for 8 3-minute rounds, with both men required to wear 10-ounce gloves. One of the most notable conditions is a strict weight cap for Joshua. He cannot come in above 245 pounds, a rule designed to narrow the physical gap between the two. The result will be added directly to each fighter's official pro record, making this a legitimate, fully recognized bout.
Professional bout. This is going on people's records. AJ gotta take him serious, because this isn't some exhibition. We're running out some judges to act like there's a decision and someone won. No, someone's gonna win, someone's gonna lose here. It's 8 rounds, 3-minute rounds. Again, heavyweight pro bout, 10-ounce gloves. AJ talking about breaking internets over faces. I think he meant to say breaking his face on the internet. Who knows? Maybe you can do both in the big 2025. But then you have the weight limit, 245 pounds. And people are automatically going to go, oh, God, here's the thing. Oh, here's the thing in the contract. No, stop all that. And I'm going to go on a rant in a second for all the people that thought this was fake, for all the people that thought that Jake wouldn't do this, for all the people that thought he was scared. I'm going to go on that rant in a second. But, okay, yes, 245 is a weird number because Jake has already fought at heavyweight. He fought Mike Tyson at 220-something. But again, I understand it a little bit. We're on short notice here. You don't want to have a Tyson Fury type situation, which AJ would never be 290 coming in here. But 260, 270, it starts to get out of the realm of possibility of like, what are we doing here? Even though heavyweight has no limit.
Most Valuable Promotions CEO Nisa Badarian, who oversees Jake Paul's promotional team, told Sky Sports that the December 19th showdown with Anthony Joshua has evolved into a truly global spectacle. He acknowledged Joshua's superior resume, but suggested that Paul's unwavering, and at times extreme, self-belief could influence how the fight unfolds. Badarian described the bout as a symbolic collision of two very different paths in the sport, noting that MVP accelerated negotiations and logistics to finalize the deal in an unusually short time frame, though he also confirmed that strict weight requirements and full professional rules were put in place to guarantee a legitimate, high-risk contest. Badarian argued that this matchup is actually more balanced than Joshua's recent meeting with Francis Ngannou. While Ngannou's size was imposing, Badarian pointed out that the former UFC champion lacked deep boxing fundamentals. In his view, Paul has developed rapidly, gaining technical skill, composure, and ring experience, making this fight a tougher, more competitive matchup than many expect.
Wait, will there be a limit for Joshua?
So there's a lot of discussion around the weight. Joshua fought Usyk twice. Both of those times, Usyk was 221 pounds. Joshua was 240 to 245. When Jake fought Mike Tyson last year, 227 pounds. I expect Jake will come in anywhere between 225 and 230, and Anthony Joshua has a weight limit of 245 pounds.
There will be those, as you're aware, that will look at it and criticise this fight. There already have been, haven't there? They'll say it's a real mismatch. What would you say to them? Are we going to be watching sport at its purest?
I would say it's much less of a mismatch than what you saw with AJ and Francis Ngannou, who a massive man, but relatively no boxing experience. I would say it's much less of a mismatch than AJ's 9th or 10th fight against guys who've been knocked out 20 to 25 times. Given AJ's pedigree, Jake is built for this. Jake is built for the big moments. So do I think it's dangerous for Jake Paul? Absolutely. Do I think it's also dangerous for Anthony Joshua? 100%.
Many analysts believe Jake Paul is taking an enormous gamble by agreeing to fight Anthony Joshua. Former cruiserweight title holder Lawrence Oakley has cautioned that Joshua's size, strength, and punching power create genuine safety concerns for Paul. Likewise, two-time world champion David Benavidez has warned that Paul is stepping straight into a dangerous situation, pointing out the massive gap in experience and high-level competition between the two fighters.
What else have we got to consider? Is AJ cashing out? Well, I did say a year ago when he got splattered by Daniel Dubois that he's finished now. He won't get that confidence back. He's not had any confidence, in his head. No belief for a long time. And I don't think he can get back to world level. There's a couple of new young guns now coming up and coming through. It's like a changing of the guard. And when Usyk retires, I don't know what Daniel Dubois is going to do next, but I don't know what Daniel Dubois did to him. Then he went on and lost to Usyk. But there's a few new heavyweights coming through. Moses Atalma, just to mention one. And you wouldn't start putting AJ in with any of these young up-and-comers that can punch hard, because I just don't think he's got the chance, because the ambition and the desire is going to be gone. So AJ most definitely is cashing out, and you can't fault him. Fair play to him. He's going to get a massive payday, maximise his exit route by fighting fake.
Some boxing fans genuinely think Jake Paul has a real chance of upsetting Anthony Joshua, and their confidence comes down to one thing: punching power. Although often dismissed as a social media fighter, Paul has proven he can land heavy shots, with several past opponents being knocked down or stopped. Even Tyson Fury recently stirred debate by suggesting Paul might be capable of knocking Joshua out, pointing to Paul's increasing size and developing power at heavyweight. For his part, Paul has repeatedly argued that Joshua's chin is vulnerable, insisting that if he connects cleanly, the fight could be over quickly.
I give 100% respect to Jake Paul, but that's a dangerous fight for him. He probably gets knocked out, and I'm not trying to be a hater. I'm not saying nothing bad, but Anthony Joshua is Anthony Joshua. He's multiple-time champion, Olympic gold medalist. You know what I mean? The last time somebody stepped in the ring with him that didn't have that much boxing experience was Ngannou, and you've seen what happened to him. Yeah. But big respects to Jake Paul. It's gonna be a good card. It's a big fight. And it's a good fight, man. I give 100% respect to Jake Paul for even taking that fight.
The Ring 4, November 22nd. Watch only on DAZN.
Carl Froch has taken aim at Anthony Joshua's choice to fight Jake Paul, implying that Joshua is essentially cashing out at this stage of his career. Froch suggests that after earning millions and achieving world champion status, Joshua now appears more driven by financial reward than by legacy. In Froch's view, AJ no longer has anything significant left to prove in the sport, and is opting for a lucrative crossover bout that offers big money with far less competitive risk.
You think he can win? Jake Paul?
I think it's a possibility. No one is backing Jake Paul currently. You've seen him in the ring. You can see that he's got some knockout power. And I also believe people don't look at Joshua's last few fights. And I don't think it's going to be as big of a landslide as people feel. I feel like there's an overhand right that could easily land, and I wouldn't predict that Joshua's chin can last that. The problem is that all of the pressure's on Joshua at the moment. So Jake Paul, if he gets knocked out in 12 seconds, he should get knocked out. The problem is, as soon as Joshua starts taking damage, all of a sudden he's thinking, the world is watching me. I'm a professional fighter and I'm getting beat off a YouTuber. All of the pressure is in Joshua, and that's a lot that can weigh on a man. You can't deny that Jake Paul has power. I think it's one of his only attributes. I think he's a very poor boxer, but what he does have is a weird technique where you don't know what
he's got power. How do we know he's got power?
He's knocked people out. Joshua has all of the world looking at him thinking you should walk him over. If it gets 2 rounds, 3 rounds inside, I think Joshua loses.
Many observers are treating this fight as a modern David versus Goliath scenario. Jake Paul, whose rise came through social media and a string of lower-weight boxing matches, is now stepping in with Anthony Joshua, a huge, battle-tested heavyweight with world titles and elite experience behind him. Joshua's height, reach, raw power, and resume make him the clear Goliath of the matchup. Meanwhile, Paul enters as the outsider, relying on determination, self-belief, and sheer fearlessness to try and close a monumental gap.
The problem for Anthony Joshua is his activity. He's only fought twice in 2 years, and one of them he got knocked out off Daniel Dubois. That was his last fight, and a lot of people say you can only judge a fighter's quality from their last fight. And then the fight before that was a win, but it was a win against Francis Ngannou. Francis Ngannou, if you know, he was the UFC heavyweight who's not a real boxer, and he only had one fight before that boxing fight, what he lost as well. So that's his activity in boxing. Now Jake Paul, on the other hand, looking at his box rec, he's had 6 fights since 2023, and one of them was against Mike Tyson, but we all seen what happened in that fight. Mike Tyson was well past his prime, where Anthony Joshua, on the other hand, is, but I'm not going to say he's coming into his prime, because he had some great wins earlier on in his career before he lost to Usyk twice. And by the way, when he did lose to Usyk, the last one was a split decision. It was a pretty close fight. So now this fight is matched, and I just want to look at the tail of the tape. Now looking at the age difference, we've got 28 years old compared to 36 years old. So I guess the advantage there goes a little bit towards Jake Paul. 28-year-old is better than a 36-year-old. But that being said, we've got talking about experience and everything else, what comes with being 36 years old at Anthony Joshua's level. And then, like I mentioned, the heavyweights kind of seem to prime a little bit older. They'll come down to the height and the weight. This is the big one. 6'1" versus 6'6". 200 pound versus 252 pound. We got a 252 pounder in Anthony Joshua. The reach advantage is a lot, which we would expect. Amateur fights, we can see that Jake's only had one, where AJ's had 43, but 43 of them are including at the highest level, Olympic level. And yes, he won the Olympic bloody gold medal, if I don't need to remind you. Now, then the pro record, Jake Paul has had 13 fights, lost 1. AJ has had 28 fights and he's lost 4.
David Hay has issued one of the harshest warnings yet about the Anthony Joshua versus Jake Paul matchup, describing it as an outright mismatch. Speaking to Sky News, the former world heavyweight champion said Joshua has the ability to cause severe damage to Paul, and he fears for Paul's safety if the fight goes ahead. Hay even suggested the bout could be his last day on earth, underscoring how dangerous he believes the size, power, and experience gap truly is. The physical differences alone paint a daunting picture. Joshua stands 6 feet 6 inches with an 82-inch reach. Paul is roughly 6 feet 1 inch with a 76-inch reach. Joshua normally weighs between 240 to 250 pounds, though he is capped at 245 for this fight. Paul, who built most of his boxing career at cruiserweight, has only recently bulked up to around 227 pounds for his heavyweight appearances. That extra height, reach, and natural mass could give Joshua a major advantage in both power and physical control inside the ring.
Can't judge Anthony Joshua for getting the bag, as the kids say, for going to wherever the fight's going to take place and taking $92 million for going up against Jake Paul, right? You can't give him for that. You can't judge him for that. But don't try and tell me that this is a real professional boxing contest. I'm saying my guess is that this will be an exhibition matchup. And if it is, it'll be one hell of a show. And I'll certainly tune in. And fair play to both men because they're making an absolute goddamn killing. But what is going on? Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua. It's a lose-lose for Joshua. It's a win-win for Jake Paul.
One of the biggest worries surrounding Anthony Joshua's decision to fight Jake Paul is his recent lack of activity. Joshua has only stepped into the ring twice over the last 2 years. Following his split decision defeat to Alexander Usyk in 2022, his schedule became far less consistent. He stopped Robert Helenius in August 2023, beat Otto Wallin in December 2023, and later scored a knockout over Francis Ngannou in March 2024. But compared to his earlier career pace, AJ has been far less active.
Is a big money fight, £100 million potentially. Are you confident it'll happen?
I wasn't confident when I first heard about it. It sounds like one of those fairy tale fights that people talk about but don't actually get over the line. I heard this 3-4 months ago. I just dismissed it. I heard it a week ago. I went along with it, but deep down I thought this isn't going to happen. And today it's been made official. Jake Paul is going to get in a ring in a boxing match, boxing gloves, to mix it with one of the most dangerous heavyweights on the planet. Someone who is an Olympic gold medalist, won the heavyweight championship twice. Although he lost his last fight against a very good Daniel Dubois, he's a top 10 heavyweight on the planet versus internet sensation, someone who's a latecomer to boxing and has boxed at a very moderate level. I'm talking domestic level, and he lost to Tommy Fury, for instance. And Tommy Fury, who he lost to, versus Anthony Joshua, they're two completely different sports. So I commend Jake Paul for putting himself in harm's way, because boxing is a dangerous game. People have died in the ring. People have been seriously injured, maimed. And he believes in himself enough to do it on a massive scale, because it's not about the money. He's got enough money. This is him wanting to push the boundaries of reality. He's manifested an amazing life for himself. He's a superstar, and I think he wants to try and do the unthinkable. He wants to. It's an insane challenge he's put himself up for, but you've got to give him credit.
You say an insane challenge. You've described it before as Jake Paul being a cat versus Anthony Joshua's lion.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not equally matched on any sense, are they?
There's not one element of their boxing skill set that Jake Paul can come 15, 20% in regards to Anthony Joshua. He's a completely different specimen. You'll see what it looks like when they stand next to each other.
Anthony Joshua is taking a significant gamble by stepping into the ring with Jake Paul. For many experts, the stakes aren't just physical, they are reputational. Former heavyweight Dave Allen cautioned that even a single punch from Paul could tarnish Joshua's hard-earned legacy. On the other hand, some see the fight as a strategic financial move. Eddie Hearn defended the decision, noting, "You can't eat legacy." Still, there's concern that Joshua could trade part of his respected reputation for a huge payday. And if the fight goes poorly, he risks being remembered more for a lucrative spectacle than his achievements as a champion.